Welcome to Plant More, Worry Less, a podcast by the Wachuma Foundation. We are grateful for the supporters who make this show possible. To learn more about our work or support our mission, please visit wachumafoundation.org. Also note, in this podcast we discuss sacred plant medicines for educational purposes only. Nothing herein should be considered medical or legal advice, and we do not encourage using any substances in places where they are illegal. We hope you enjoy this very special episode.
So, how do you say your name? Is it Daya or Daya?
Daya.
Daya Nimidas.
Daya Nimai das. Yeah.
Nimaidas. Okay, now we know. Well, thank you so much for coming. I've heard about you from a couple different people. And even through Instagram, we were talking. Hamid mentioned you guys were in connection one of the first times we went to Peru. I heard Miguel mention your name. You and I connected on Instagram through the Wachuma Foundation. And so now here you are today. And I'm really excited to be connecting with you, and to hear more about your story and what you have going on. It seems like with yoga, the Andean cosmovision, plant medicine, kirtan, it's kind of all my favorite things. So I'm excited to get into this conversation with you today.
Same here. And once again, thank you for this invitation and this opportunity.
I remember the first time I saw you, I think you were doing kirtan at Nidrawasi. And maybe that was like 2018. And I was staying at Pazilu's, and I was at a campfire there at night, and it was all of your yoga students who were taking Andean yoga, and they were telling me about it. So it would be nice. Maybe, we have this podcast where we're really talking to people about medicine, life, like all of the things that really matter. And it'd be really nice to hear if you want to share about your story, like how you came to be in the Sacred Valley, and anything else you want to share.
For sure. Yeah. This story started a long while ago. I've been here in the Valley for almost 50 years. And I came down here with my yoga practice. I had been living in ashrams, the Hare Krishna tradition for a while. And I came here following my teacher, Chaitanya Nitai Das. And I was supporting his groups and our school here in the Sacred Valley. And there was a moment, like there's always a moment, where I was ready to start opening my own venture and my own proposal in terms of the yoga practice and how to land it into the teachings of the Andean cosmovision. So while being here, I found the inspiration to take some time for myself. I went up to the mountains and I came down from them with the Andean yoga concept, which was completely new, and it was something very original, something deep. And little I know how many doors it would open for me since then. But in a nutshell, I could clearly see that there's a structure to the practice that is very much aligned with the structure of the Chakana in terms of how to understand each space segment of space and time that there is within the practice. So we've been weaving in that Chakana into the yoga practice. I also weave it into our ceremonies that we share. So we share a Chakana altar. And so I could tell you that the main thing that I found was that the yoga path was very much about self-salvation, an individualistic approach towards, higher states of consciousness, while leaving aside a little bit the body and the relations that were outside. So that's where I felt like the Andean element, was creating a new axis from where this yoga practice could build a community for these new times. So since then, we've been holding these beautiful containers, and through that, we've been sharing the teachings of the Andean cross or the Chakana in a very beautiful and organic way.
That's that's kind of what I was imagining, but I never really had any concept of the internal, like what you said, yoga being a very individualistic, and that makes sense in a way. And it seems like the Andean culture in general is really a culture of service and also relationship, maybe with the outside and the elements. And do you want to tell people what is the Chakana? Because actually, some people listening to our podcast may not even know what the Chakana is, and I think it'd be interesting if you could share.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you. So this Chakana is a constellation that is most clearly seen on the 3rd of May, which is its day here in the Andean tradition. And this is a set of stars that are drawing. It has two major arms, so they are bringing the concept of quadripartition. So they are like kind of like a map that is in the sky that our ancestors were trying to bring down and learn from it, and to how to order, their time and their space according to those principles. So part of the great work that we've been doing is like to retrieve what were the ancestors praying to, what were the ancestors looking at, and how were they relating to this technology. So this it's a symbol. No, it's like an Andean cross, and it has ladders on every side. And this symbol has been present in many cultures, and we can go as back as 6,000 years ago. And most prominently, this concept was also taken into account by the Chavin culture, which was let's say 3,000, 3,500 years ago. So this Chakana is a magnific power tool, in the sense that it can be so many things, right? It can be a map, it can be a calendar, it can be an inner compass. And from that, there's many ways to approach it, no? But in the first step of understanding this Chakana is presenting to us the nature of the three worlds. So here in the Andean tradition, we speak about Pacha, which is the place where space and time meet. Many people have the common concept that Pacha means earth, but the name for that is Alpa. So Pacha is a moment. So how we recognize, different moments, the big spectrum of time. So within this cross, there's a part of the cross which is pointing down. This part that is pointing down, we call here Uku Pacha. Uku means invisible, hidden, not yet seen, something that is surely to show its features while it's being nourished to do so. So that is the moment of deep insight, deep connection, silence, stillness. And its main archetypes are the snake, like in many religions, we have the snake across them to remind us that that thing we're most afraid is to discover our own potential, right? Like the Kundalini Shakti, how it emerges. And also in that realm, we have the Mother Earth, and everything that is nourishing is that energy of the Ukupacha. It's giving life to something that is yet to express its true form. And then we can also match it up with the color red. Here in the Andes, we use the color red to honor the feminine. And it's also related to the blood, to our lineage and to our ancestors. So at this part of time and space, what we try to bring is the ancient memory. We have our current memory based on these life events, but there's a deeper memory that goes beyond this idea we have of ourselves in this current body form. So that's the invitation in the Ukupacha. So that's the part of the cross that is pointing down. Then we can identify a part of the cross which is horizontal, and that part we call the Kai Pacha. Kai comes from a word called Kalpa. Kalpa means strength, purpose, direction. And so this is the altar of the Puma. So the altar of the Puma is related to being ready to take action, being willing to be part of everything that is out. So in this altar, we also honor the element of the fire, which is transformation. And it's what we get to do with our physical body. So once we've been nourished and we've acquired an identity, how do we project that identity out there and put it into the service of all the relations, and therefore We start also opening other mysteries aligned with the Andean cosmovision, which is the mysteries around relational aspect of life and reciprocity. Now, here in the Andes, we call it Aini, and within the realm of the relations, we say that we are in the capacity to extend that sense of family beyond the nuclear family, let's say, like everybody that's older than you and it's a female becomes a mother. Everybody that's older than you and it's a male, you call a father, and everybody's your brother and sister. So that's the first expansion. And this is the realm of the human life forms, which we call Runa. Then we go a bit higher and we go into the realm of the wildlife, plants, animals, rocks, you name it. And that realm is called Salka, and that's the wildlife. So we start incorporating, the plants and the animals to our sense of family. We realize that, we are working together and we're not as independent as we think. More so, we come into the realization of our interdependence aspect of our life. How we are all related and how we're all codependent on each other to create this existence. So that's the realm of the Kai Pacha. And finally, you have the cross that is pointing up, right? And this will be the realm of the Hanach or Hanan Pacha, which is the upper world, and it's pointing up for us to realize that there's yet another moment beyond our identity. So that moment is where we reflect about the experiences that we've had, and we put them into the service of the future generations. We realize that time is not a line, but a circle. So, we're ought to be giving back everything that we have received and, to recognize the gift of being in such position to give it all back. So in this altar, we invite the archetypes of the condor, which is the big bird in the sky, right? Watching over and seeing things from another perspective. We also invite our elders, to join us in this ceremony of life. And we also invite the color white, which the color white represents not only the hair that grows on top of our hair as we grow older, naturally, but also the white snow that is in the top of the mountains, which are the most revered mountains here in the Andean tradition. And that for many reasons, right? Because the snow is also giving us a sense of how much water we have, left or available. So that is the meaningful way of, praising the snow. And yet you can also relate that to the ashes, the fire, and many other forms that color may take.
Thank you. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that in a nutshell resumes, the three worlds, and this is just like stepping stones. How our mind needs to understand things by parts, and we're good at understanding one, two, three, right? So we speak about the three worlds, but where the mystery lies is in the center of the Chakana, where there's a circle. And that circle is also bringing a sense of balance to the structure of the Chakana, which is mostly squared, right? And the square represents the masculine, but the masculine is built upon the circle in the center, which is the feminine. And that circle invites us to let go of all these rational ideas of how to relate to the structure of space and time, and to invite us to see that all of the worlds are happening at the same time. There's not such thing of this and that. This and that are in the same space and unfolding simultaneously. So that's my best approach to share with you the mysteries of this ancient symbol.
I am loving this, Daya. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Amazing. I'm totally geeking out. When I was looking at your website, I saw the Chakana and how you weave that into the teachings of yoga. And I was just like, can I don't know, it made me want to join your yoga teacher training, even though I teach yoga and have for years. The Andean cosmovision is something that I have books on, but I haven't opened up yet. So it's like something that I've been really calling in to learn more about. Thank you for that little taste. I'm sure it's like so beyond that. And I'm sure there's so much you could talk about.
Um, I would like
Okay.
to share with you, Danny and Hamid, also how does this relate to the yoga practice, no, in terms of
Thank you.
the Andean yoga, as we call it, and all the synchronicities that we found in these 10 years that we've been serving through these containers. So, the first thing that I found out that, there's a space for opening and connecting with yourself before you start teaching, and how we start warming up, for example, no? So this ukupacha, this first world, we bring it into the asanas that are opening the chest and opening the hips, getting ourselves ready for the practice. And the motto is opening to receive, no? So that would be the first moment in the practice. Then we step into the second moment of the practice, which would be the kaipacha, which involves the fire and the movement and the puma. So there we start going up into vinyasa sequencing, creative sequencing, standing postures, and building fire, and also working with the core. Because most of the work of the Kaipacha is being ready to take action when it's required. You never know when it's coming, but you need to be ready. So, that's kind of like the spirit of that part. And on the Hanampacha, which has to do with the part of the cross that is pointing up, has to do with seeing things in a different way. So we bring in the later parts of the practice, which will be the twists, the inversions, and the back bendings. So as you know, twists allow you to see something that you're not seeing. Inversions is seeing things, in a completely new, different way. And back bendings also invite us to trust, to do new things in life. So all of that is kind of like the structure of the Chakana. And then the circle would be the Shavasana, right? Where we release the body identity, we peel the layers, we peel the cautious, and we arrive to that sweet nectar spot of wholeness and oneness. And that's just the asana portion of it. And we could very well start tying that down with other archetypes of the energy that are presented to yoga philosophy. We could talk about the gunas, we could talk about tamas, vajas, and sattva. We could talk about the doshas, right? Kapha, pitta, and vata. And all of those have the same qualities as these three worlds. So in a nutshell, once again, this is how we related, and these two cultures started merging to create what we call nowadays Andean yoga.
It's fascinating to me too. I used to teach yoga. That's how I got into spirituality, and I was teaching this weekend about the kosha, and this kind of conception of the different layers within us. And I was trying to think as you were talking about that, I'm like, maybe the kosha are related in some ways too, because it's just different frameworks, but we're all trying to talk about the same indescribable phenomenon out there in the universe. So it's a whole thing. I mean, it's a whole study. I can really see how this is like a really deep practice. So I appreciate you distilling it very shortly, because I can already tell that this is like months to really get into it, to fully metabolize it in a way.
Yeah, like you say, Hamid, is the journey from the gross to the subtle, right? And
Yeah.
many oftentimes we think about our minds and the evolutionary path of the mind as getting more complicated, having more features and doing more things and multitasking, when in fact, that the goal is not to go that direction, but to go in the opposite direction, go back to the original mind, go that to that stillness of the mind where everything comes from. Shapes, forms, and ideas, thoughts, beliefs, they portray a myriad of opportunities, yet none of those can really give us the original peace, that we're looking for. We get to go inside and be still within ourselves.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I'm curious, this is more of a personal curiosity. Where did you come from originally? Because I notice like when I go to the Sacred Valley, it's very easy to to connect with everything there. That place is magical. It almost puts you in a different state of consciousness. I don't know if you have a frame of reference. It sounded like you were in ashrams before, so maybe you had lots of those experiences. But for us, like Danny and I, we're in the United States. You come back to the United States, and it's like it starts to become much more difficult to feel and connect because of the way that life is here and the energy of everything. And I'm curious, whether you have any experience like with that, like, and maybe that's why you stayed in the Sacred Valley. I don't know.
Yeah, this is home certainly, no, and this is a place where I found a very interesting place to ground myself and also like open my heart and mind to the teachings out there. But we like to say always that the 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 middle point or the way out of remembering and forgetting, which this is what happens often when we go to a place, we learn something, and then we go back to our daily lives, is the practice.
Yeah.
We get to carry our practice back to our places, and set up our little altars, or stretch our yoga mat, or engage ourselves in some sort of community event like kirtans or sweat lodge, where you can really find the way how to keep the focus where it needs to be. It's very easy to get lost as we move from one place to the other. But yeah, like they say, like Patanjali would say, the key to success in yoga is made out of a bird of two wings. One wing will be abhyasa, which is the practice, and the other wing would be vairagya, which is detachment. So
Mhm.
practice with detachment. You know, um, we're so goal orientated, and we think like we have to achieve this or that, or reach this or that, or become this or that, and that it can be very distracting. It's like not such a good mirror, because we cannot define ourselves by the things that we do. We define ourselves by who we are, inside. So I think like the modern life, and the ancient teachings have a way of relating where we can, you know, retrieve back what's that original sense of purpose we meant to be connecting with, to keep ourselves inspired, and keep our practice steady.
I love that. Yeah. Um, Danny. Danny is engaged in a study of the altars, and I kept hearing you say with the Chakana even that these are actually altars, that are opening new energies. And um, are you using the term altar similar in the same way? Like these are the doorways, or these are the vibrations.
For sure. Yeah, that's also very interesting to apply this in ceremony space. So we call them altars, or you can call them pachas. So the first altar, the uku pacha, which is pointing inside, has to do with the silence at the beginning of the ceremony. And we do a little exercise, which is called Kuti, which means the memory that comes back. So it's bringing back all of the memories of our past. It could be of this lifetime, and we start off, like going into the belly of the mother, like trying to remember any songs, that we received when we were babies, remembering our home space, remembering the different spaces within the home, the garden, the games you used to play, the people you used to play, your first birthday. So it's going back, and we could also, take it beyond and go into the collective memory. Like if you go into the first molecules in the water and how it became, had a spine, and how that spine, allow it to move and reach the shore and come out of the shore and look up and see the sun for the first time and see the leaves and recognize other creatures, and then the first fire, and the gatherings around the fire. So all of that, those memories, is that what we work in this first altar.
Mm.
Then on the second altar, and this is on a pilgrimage kind of ceremony, like where we are in the mountains, is the moment where we go out and we go for a walk, and in that walk we bring the second prayer, which is, how we say to point the prayer out. So if the ceremony has been so far about you and your process and your memories, in the second altar we get to connect with our sense of purpose and direction and that which we want to offer to this world with the gifts that we carry. So usually in the part of the ceremony, we bring the prayer of love and abundance, the prayer of the Kai Pacha, and we work with an altar that is carrying the coca quintus, the three sets of coca leaves, to call in, the spirits of the mountains and to be present, to come to a focal point and place that on the belly of Mother Earth, and then we start working first with the corn, praying for abundance for all the relations. We work with the strawberry, which is the love, once again for all the relations. We also have the tobacco, which represents the medicines in our lives, and call in more of these medicines that come in many ways. And then when we close it up with getting our fingers wet in some water, lake water, and sprinkle it and bless it on top. And then we bring the prayer, right? With tobacco. So there's also a crossing, with Native American traditions and, praying with the elements like that. So that's the second altar. And for the third altar, we come back to the place of where we began from our starting point. But now we come with the experience of the ceremony. So on the third altar, we invite the reflection of what was this day for us, and we open the circle for everybody to share their experience, and we support it by attentive listening, like listening, deep listening to what others have to say in their own prayer, and like that we encourage the spirit of supporting others' prayers, not only our own prayer. It's easy to pray for yourself, but it's much more expansive, to carry the prayers of the ones that are around you. So like that, we close the prayers. As you probably guys already also have joined many ceremonies like this, we share the tobaccos and we offer it to the fire and we close our ceremony. So that's how the three altars are working in the Wachuma ceremonies, for example.
I already know what Danny is thinking, and she's thinking, I want to come
I
on
am.
one.
Like, can we go?
We
Any
have a
time of
lot
the
of
year, guys, you're
experience.
always welcome.
Yeah, we have a lot of experience with our mutual friend Miguel, and his got the four altars and his own altars, which are beautiful. But this is really profound, and I can really feel the resonance of those two. It's interesting to kind of see, like, different but the same ways of praying, of honoring.
Yeah, I always like to honor and give thanks to my teachers. So yeah, also I have to say that Miguel is the one that initiated me in these ways, invited me to my first ceremony, perhaps like 13 years ago. And little I know how much will it come from that. It was a really life changing, self revealing, and from there I also, like, when we share the ceremonies, we like to say that we're not giving experiences, recreational experiences with uh, entheogens. What we're doing is the beginning of a path. So therefore, when we start this walk in these ways, we make a commitment. Like every power comes with a responsibility. So we make the commitment to walk this path in the most aligned way. You know? And one
Mhm.
of those ways is to honor our teacher. So yeah, I'm very happy to share that relation with you guys. And thank you for
Yeah,
bringing that up.
yeah, yeah. The Miguel has changed a lot of lives, including my own too. He's who I learned, these practices from. I had been working with Wachuma before I met Miguel, but it didn't click into place, until I really went on a ceremony with him. In fact, I think one of the very first ceremonies I went on, you were there. Um, we went to the Urubamba. Maybe that wasn't one of the first. We went to Urubamba Forest, like Apuchikong. It was a very large group. I don't remember much of the details, but I do remember you brought a drum. And at some point, Miguel said, "Hey, brother, can I play your drum?" And because he doesn't want to carry a drum. He was so happy that there was a drum there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That also, I can share a little further also in the context of the ceremonies. I learned these ways, with a rattle and a drum, through Miguel. And then with the passing of years, we started bringing, other instruments also, because they brought so much energy, and like we brought the guitars and now, there's such an opening, that for people to share song. This is something that was perhaps not there before as present as it is now, but now it's available. Everybody is now in the position, in the confidence, to share their voice and share their heart in the ceremony space. So where I want to go with this is that one my other big teacher, she lives in Chavin, and her name is Cecilia, and she did it for me because I had many years where the ceremonies were strong prayers, but there was also that element of presenting songs and kind of like put you in the performance also, like sharing songs. It's kind of like puts you like in a kind of like an altar stage or altar kind of position, even though you're channeling, like you're bringing something extra to the ceremony. So one cool thing I learned with my teacher in Chavin is that we mostly were in silence. We don't talk much. We just like she plants us, in different parts of the river, and we just stay there for hours alone with ourselves and the medicine. And we're not allowed to use any other substances, no coca, no tobacco, no nothing. And then we walk through the archaeological sites, which that's another of my passions, is to go retrieve these wakas, these sacred places, and connect with the energy that was there. And one amazing thing in Chavin that I highly recommend you guys, if you ever have experience, or if you ever want to join me when I take a group, we have a very private and particular access to the chambers, to the sacred chambers inside the temple of Chavin, which are, you walk inside like in the guts of the earth. You go like, it's pitch black, and you go like steps down to the left, step down to the right, up, left, right. You don't know where you're at. By 10 minutes, you don't know where you're at. And then you go and you sit and you're in complete darkness, in complete silence, in the full range of the medicine, and something happens there. I cannot actually tell you with words, what actually happens there, but that's one of the most potent experience that I had, and yeah, just to balance out, just the narrative of the ceremony with the essence of the wachuma, which is it's the silence speaking. When we go historically into the different names that this plant has acquired, of course, we start right at the top, with the contemporary labeling of it as San Pedro or Saint Peter, as you want to retrieve it. So this is the story of a priest, Jesuit priest, in the Conquista, that was sent on the mission to see what are the indigenous people doing, with these plants. What are they doing? So he went, he partake the ceremony, and when he came back, all he could say to his companions was, "They're talking to God directly, with no intermediary. So they're opening the gates of heaven." That's what he said. Hence the name San Pedro, right? Saint Peter, the one that holds the. Then we go back to the southern region of Peru, where there's this name called Huachuma, and for many people, they present this name as Huachar could be like something like cutting, and Uma means head. So it's like cutting the head. So what does that mean? It's like, stepping into the frequency of the heart, like stop, creating so many forms and be in the essence of nothing in comfort, be comfortable with that, And then, we go to more to the central region of Peru, most Asian, where the Chavin culture is raised its temple, and it acquires other names such as Watsun or Sunaj. So Sunaj, for example, means like the root in Sunaj is silent, like, and means one. So it's the silence that unifies. So by retrieving the etymology of this word, we can retrieve its use within a culture in a space. And from the Watsun, I learned that the syllable wa, it's calling in the origin, the place from where things come from, the great mystery that we call, it's expressed in an energy called wa. And also, my grandmother, pointed me in the way. She said, like, yeah, and it's universal. He said, what's the first sound that comes out of people's mouth when they see something beyond their mind? Wow, you know. So that why, it's like intrinsic,
Yeah.
and like that, many beautiful teachings that are coming from these beautiful cultures and the way they express it, and I think it's our duty, not to lose the thread, and to go to these places, go to these wakas, go to their textiles, go to their potteries, and bring back and preserve these teachings.
We're feeling the call to Shavine for sure. Miguel has been um, sort of seeding that in us for a while, and hearing you talk about it as well. I wonder, since you were talking about the names, can you talk about the name Agua?
Um, I'm not so familiar with this name. They use it in Ecuador. They use it more
Okay,
coming from that region. So we don't use it much here in the southern tradition, like in this part.
gotcha.
So I could not say much about that particular name.
Yeah. Well, my understanding, I'll just share a little bit since I brought it up, is Koya in is a combination of Spanish and Quechua. So Koya means queen, sort of, and Koya agua meaning water. So it's sort of the water queen, but having to do with the cultural, like we were talking about the apus and the water on the mountain, and the water. Peru is a place that's sort of, and that whole area blanketed by water in the mountain and then water on the ocean. And so, of course, the Wachuma cactus, the aguacoya, is growing in these like canyons that are very important, to monitor the water and for people to have the relationship with the water. And I don't know the history, but I know at some point, that name for this cactus really spoke to the way that the cactus was a connector for the people and the water, in a way that they relied on the cactus for guidance and help and understanding the waters and praying to the waters. So I don't know either, but I was curious, and so I'll do my more research, on my own for that one.
That's beautiful because actually, like one of the things we get to experience, as we start asking ourselves the question, what were the ancestors praying for? One common thing they were praying for, surely, is for water.
Hmm.
As water, it's a blessing coming from the sky, and how it brings about abundance for the sustenance of a community. So I think a lot of the prayers, rituals that were performed in the ancient praying and traditions were in relationship to bringing the water, bringing the water at the right time and in the right amounts. So definitely water has been a common threat, and whether we were in the position to appreciate it as they did, we should, because we're still living in the same planet under the same conditions.
Hmm. Yeah.
I have a question for you. Well,
Yes.
first, I want to say thank you for sharing all of that. I am totally just geeking out over here because Chavin is something that's been on my list for a very long time. And so to hear you talk about it and going down into like the belly of the temple is something I think about often. So thank you for getting me even more excited about Chavin someday. I'm curious about your first Wachuma ceremony. You said that it was with Miguel. And is this the time, and earlier in your story, you also said that you went up to the mountains and then came back down with this idea of Andean yoga? Did the idea for the Andean Yoga School come when you were in ceremony? And I'm curious what that first hike with Miguel was like and how you knew that Wachuma was something you were going to be working with. Or maybe you didn't know that at that time, but just kind of curious about your first ceremony.
Yeah. So I had taken the wachuma when I was younger with my friends, and I had a mind breaking experience. Connecting with spirits of the land. We were like in the Andes of Lima, in the high mountain area of Lima. It was kind of like a breakthrough experience, and I had been drinking with my friends like that. Just sharing space, but I was never in the context of a ceremony. So when I met Miguel, he said, "Hey, what are you doing? You wanna come with me? Like, we're gonna have a ceremony." So I said, "Sure, yeah, let's go for it." And little I know, like how much more gifts, we could harvest from sitting in a space, in front of the fire and letting the medicine speak for itself. So that's when I think for the first time I could recognize the voice, within the medicine. Like I recognize the medicine as a spirit with a personality and a guidance, that was completely aligned with the way the space was being held. After that, I supported Miguel's ceremonies for around 7 years, and we were, yeah, walking in the mountains. We were doing fires overnight, rain, hail, storm, just carrying the prayer, like we would be like very diligent, in getting the work done in a good way. And we were both very concerned with doing it with integrity, with the true heart and the true calling to the service that is at hand, when you start sharing ceremonies. So that definitely shaped me in a variety of ways. And yeah, that opened me also to speak more to that which was around me and which was part of me all this time, and I just didn't knew. So when I had that moment when I wanted to bring about my own, proposal and my own channel and open, my spirit, I went in a sort of a vision quest to the mountain for 3 days, and I started doing my homework. I was just writing my yoga sequence. Like uh, this is how I begin, this is where I go to, and this is how I end. And then I looked up, and there was like a window, like with a chakana behind me. And then like I saw the chakana and I had a glimpse. So like, okay, there's one part pointing down, one part in the middle, one point pointed up. So there's three parts to it. And then I looked into my paper and I said, of course, there's the opening, that's a part down. This is the vinyasa, the movement is the middle part, and the part up, it's related to those more advanced postures, that yeah, help you see things in different way. So that's how it all came around.
Amazing. And what are your teacher trainings like? Like what kind of stuff do you go over in there? Because it seems like it's not typical from your normal teacher training. Do you incorporate work with plant medicine as well?
Yeah, we always get the feedback. No, this was so much more than your regular teacher training. I came here for learning how to teach yoga, and like I transformed my life. Like this really, like, wow, you got me, bro. Like they're like, wow. So the thing is, like, we divide in 3 weeks, like your regular teacher training program, 21 day, but each week is one world. So the first world is the Ukupacha, and we tie down, the basics and the foundation of how to teach, how to cue, how to build your script with, the origins of yoga, Samkhya yoga philosophy, dual, non-dual, that on the philosophy part. But we also tie it in with activities that ground that energy. So our first activity is a Haiwarikui, which is the what you call despacho, which is a Mother Earth offering, and that's the opening of the Ukupacha. The closing of the Ukupacha is a sweat lodge, where we go into the womb of Mother Earth. So we go in the belly, and we do what we ought to be in that space. And then the second week comes more with once you know the rules of how to follow a script, and teach something, you get to create your own. So that Kai Pacha, that second week, is about creative sequencing. So we have our vinyasa teachers come along, and they teach how to break down the asanas, and then they have to present their own sequence at the end of the course. with that. And during that week, we also match it with other activities that are encouraging that Kai Pacha aspect. So we go to the kirtan, which is something I've been part of for the past 13 years. And we go there and we have a cacao ceremony and we sing out loud with the collective and, raise the vibration through that. And towards the end of the week, we do a Wachuma ceremony, the mountains. So that's the Kai Pacha graduation. And in terms of the philosophy, we bring more like the classical philosophy. We bring Patanjali and we go over the Bhagavad Gita. So those are the two core things we learn during that week. And on the third week, which is the Hanan Pacha, more than teaching class, we give 3 workshops. One on inversions, one on twist, one on back bendings. We talk about yoga nidra, and this journey has been going from gross to subtle. So now we talk about energetic body, we talk about Ayurveda, we talk about the chakras, we talk about yoga nidra. So we start, going into those kind of realms, how to set up for savasana and all those things. And the last activity to ground the energy of the Hanan Pacha is a breathwork session, continued by a gong ba and sound healing. So that's what the teacher training looks like and how is it perhaps different from other teacher trainings.
It's very different. I created teacher trainings in the United States and nothing like that. That's beautiful. Do you have any teachers that are teaching that style that have gone to other countries maybe or teaching Andean yoga?
For sure, the school has around 9 years, so we have 200 graduated students. We have 32 teacher trainings accomplished. So there's Andean yoga ambassadors worldwide.
All
And
over.
Wow.
that's one of the reasons of why people keep coming, is because somebody goes to their home place and they talk about their experience, so somebody gets inspired and they come, and we have such an international crowd. Like really, it's amazing, like all the good relations we've built over the years. And there's a sense of camaraderie between the people who have taken the course, because they know, like they went through it, so they all bond. And we have WhatsApp groups where people visit each other in different places of the world, and they send me pictures. Look who I met, look where I'm at, and like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And that was the original intention, was to create community through yoga, kind of like demystify this thing of yoga, of being this ascendant path of self-liberation, and how to create a community around that. So those are the 2 axes that I was talking to you at the beginning. The yoga, which is an ascendant path, from the bottom, from Mula to Sahasrara, and then the Andean element of creating feet on the earth, be good in the body, and create community all around.
So good. Yeah, it's so
So good.
beautiful. Yeah.
Um, I've been teaching yoga for like 5 or 6 years, and I've kind of lost a little bit of my inspiration with it. I think because I'm so excited about Peru and Wachuma and all the stuff that we do there, that yoga's kind of become like number 2 or maybe even 3 on my priority list. But the way that you're speaking about weaving it into the Andean cosmovision is actually very inspiring for me. So thank you for what you're doing. I think it's really amazing. And I love that you add in a bit of plant medicine work, and I love that you're working with Wachuma. I'm curious about your experience with other plant medicines and why you chose to work with Wachuma for this teacher training versus something else.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, I've been in this path a long time, and I've been doing different ceremonies throughout my lifetime, and I've connected with different plants, but none of them I could consider my path. I am familiar with Mother Ayahuasca, and I respect her very much. And I have very talented friends that hold space for this medicine, and I perhaps go to it when I feel the calling. Might be once a year, you know, or twice, when it's required. But I know it's not my position to be serving it or to be holding space around that. So That's for the ayahuasca. I'm also familiar with the mushrooms. I love the mushrooms, and I can also I've been in deep journeys with it. I like to do cacao ceremonies with mushrooms and go more into the senses and open blindfolded or walking blindfolded or doing sound healing or and doing vocal activation. These things with the mushroom work. But like these past years, I've been just sticking to the plan. Like I've been just walking with the cactus. But I am familiar with other medicines, and I think like they all have something beautiful to offer. We often, aside of being the director of the school and holding this program, I collaborate with many other facilitators from all over. And in many of those programs, we combine. So we open up with ayahuasca, and then we ground the work with the wachuma. That's where I come in. So I also have seen a beautiful symbiosis, between both plants. As the ayahuasca could feel a little bit more flowy and female and in the dark and the realm of dreams and how there's no control whatsoever. Like you're at the mercy of the journey. And with the wachuma, we see the other side, the solar aspect of the plant, which enables you to walk, to set prayers, to share the words, to in a more eye open kind of space. So yeah, I think that's something to add to this conversation. Is like how these plants can also work together.
Cool. Thank you. You get to say something, Hamid?
Oh, it's beautiful. I was curious because you mentioned the kirtan, the the role of sound in your life, the role of music in your life. Seems like maybe it goes beyond some of the things you've shared, but like when did you get into music, and was it always part of the spiritual, or are you a musician before?
Well, to be honest, Hamid and Danny, like I started off feeling like I was neglected, for music, and like for a long time I was shy and never thought that I would be, singing in front of, people or sharing it in any shape or form, But as I had my evolution also, and the things that I learned came with the evolution of my entrepreneurship. I started off with a vegetarian restaurant, and then I had a backpacker, and then I had a small retreat center. And that small retreat center starting attracting different people from different walks of life. So, people were coming with their guitars and sharing music. People were doing massage courses. People were doing all kinds of things that I had the benefit to be witness. So I picked up the guitar back and I started practicing with people staying at the hostel, and then these cacao ceremonies were on and I was a host and someone encouraged me to share and I was so nervous and in relation to sharing and if I sounded good, if it was supportive of the space, if I was really bringing something or I was just torturing people with my singing, and then I realized that people were actually enjoying and they were really yeah, going on a journey with it. So it's very interesting also this thing about singing and opening the voice because at a first moment you could feel that you're singing for somebody else, you're singing for an audience, and then that shifts because then you understand that every song is a prayer, so you're sharing your prayer but it's your prayer, so I started more focusing on how I connect to that which I'm singing, and whatever happens after that is beyond my control, so from that space, I started cultivating a closer relationship, and no longer around judgment or comparison that can happen very often in music settings. No, I have beautiful friends, and all of them for sure sing, like very beautiful, and and I'm in admiration, So now I recognize that everybody has an ingredient. Everybody brings something to the table from their heart, from their prayer. So I am less more open to music in the broad sense, and less resistant towards sharing, because I know that everybody has something to add to the table.
Mhm. Yeah, I fully resonate with that because I was the same in a way. I never sang and I didn't think I could sing, it was the performance mindset, and it was through kirtan and actually the ceremonies where I started to sing as a prayer, like what you say, like just singing mainly to my heart or to the divine or to the nature. And then it started to open slowly, like the, it felt so good, like to get it out in a way, there was something there
Life changing, indeed.
changing. Yeah, I remember, I think 2018 is when I was there, Luz first, and I went to Kirtan, and you were part of it, and you were serving the cacao, and um, it was really beautiful. I mean, I've been to many Kirtans. I remember that one was very beautiful, and I always remembered it because also just like the community that was cultivated around that seemed really nice. Like the people were very nice. And like I said, like your students, I wasn't taking part in your teacher training, but I would go to the campfire they had there at night, probably after ceremony with Miguel. He'd probably drop me off, and I just go by the fire. And all of your students, all of your students were around the fire. Just they all loved it. So I just remember thinking like, wow, you really cultivated such a beautiful offering.
Beautiful times, beautiful memories indeed. And yeah, so
Yeah.
many people have gone through kirtan ceremony, these containers, and it's just the feeling of being at service.
Hmm.
And that's also a beautiful thing to reflect on, as we become retreat leaders, or as we are always in service, is how to also do this service to ourselves. How also keep time for checking in with our closer relationships, with our family, with our work, with our health. And it can be, many times people come, and I see here in Pisa a lot of people wanting to be shaman, or trying to be shaman, or going in that path. And I'm like, really? Like, do you know really what you're signing up for? Like it takes a lot of responsibility, and you really have to be really sure and grounded in this decision, because yeah, being in service is a beautiful thing, but it can create an imbalance in the way we take care of ourselves. So just a word of advice, for always, checking in with your own self too, as you are always in service, like check what do you need. We're always giving, all this energy, to all the ones who are seeking for it. But it's good to also bring it home and see, like, how can we do this service also to ourselves and to our families, and our most intimate space.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, I kind of, I learned the hard way, as a space holder, just giving too much. And I talked to Danny about this recently because we had a retreat, and how it's easy to get lost sometimes in the service part to others, but also you can kind of lose your foundation. It took me a couple of years of lost foundation to just step back and realign. And yeah, I appreciate that. And then it also makes it much easier to be in service, when you're coming from that place of nurturing your own life. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Do you have any offerings coming up that you'd like to share? We really would like to promote anything that you have. If anybody is listening to this and wants to be a part of your offerings, do you have things you'd like to share about?
Yeah, most outstanding, the containers that we do 3 times a year for the teacher trainings. I recommend everybody, even if you're a yoga teacher or even if you don't want to teach yoga, you should go through one of these at least once in a lifetime because, yeah, they create a beautiful community around you and they will help you go deep inside in many ways. Other than that, yeah, I am always involved in different retreats with different friends and people all around the world, and that you can find through the webpage. Perhaps we do hang up, our offerings. But my bigger calling is for anybody who wants to do a retreat. I have a passion for co-creating and making things happen and empowering people to become retreat leaders. So if anybody out there is thinking about coming to Peru and you need someone who can help you make it happen in a good way, I'm more than open and willing to help you.
Yeah, we might be calling you on that too.
Thank you.
We've been doing retreats there, but we need people there. We're not there. So,
Oh.
Danny,
Yeah, I have a question about are you close to the cactus garden and sanctuary? I think I saw a picture of you maybe planting some cactus there. I was wondering what your relationship is with it. Did you name your cactus? Um, yeah, curious.
Yeah, of course. I was catching up with Miguel after a long time, and first thing he said, like, let's go for a little walk. And yeah, he took me to this gorgeous, piece of land, and I saw all the prayers, because each cactus is a prayer, and like, and it's good to see, the prayers go up, but the blessings come down, so it's good to plant something on the earth. I think, yeah, we can make fantastic ideas of what we want to do, but to actualize it and to plant something in a garden and to know that it's being taken care of and that it will, benefit the future generations and the sense of reciprocity, as we take, we give, so I think it's brilliant. It's a brilliant project. And I want to thank you guys for doing that.
Oh yeah, our pleasure. It's been so fun getting to be there this last year and seeing it actually come to fruition after getting little updates from Miguel and making posts and a GoFundMe and all the stuff that kind of went into it behind the scenes. It was like a real moment to be able to be there and planting our first cactus and sharing it with people. So it's just, yeah, become such a special milestone for the foundation.
Who
yeah.
came up with pray more, worry less?
Pray more, worry less is Miguel.
That's Miguel's.
That's
So good,
so
right?
good. So good. I have my own hat, same color as Jordan.
We have
Love it.
shirts. We have all kinds of
Yeah,
merch.
we can bring you things next time we come down there, whatever
Please
you
do.
like.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yay. We also have plant more, worry less.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. That was obviously gonna happen because, we had to take a little riff on Miguel's pray more, worry less to plant more, worry less. But yeah, it's just the beginning, I think. I feel like that's the beginning, it's just who knows where it's gonna go, but with the prayers, it seems like there's more and more opening for giving back. I think a lot of us are, maybe we're coming to the age too that it's really becoming obvious that we need to honor that circle that you mentioned, the circle of time and really give to the future generations. We've gotten so much. So yeah.
Good job, guys. I'm proud of you guys, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So maybe that's a
Daya,
good
thank you
place
so
for us to end
much.
it. Daya, it's so beautiful to connect with you. And next time we're down there, we have to connect more, maybe in person. So
Let's hang out. Let's come to
yeah.
Oh,
Kirtan.
oh
Yes.
yes, I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Daya, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So welcome.
Let
Anytime.
me,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. many thanks. It goes beyond words, and look forward to connecting more.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This podcast episode was a production of the Wachuma Foundation. If you would like to be a guest on our show, email us at wachumafoundation@gmail.com. If you would like to learn more about us or support our mission, please visit wachumafoundation.org. And most of all, remember to plant more, worry less.